Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. Today on the channel I'll be doing tips and predictions for round 25 of the 2025 NRL season. Last week I got 6 out of 8 correct. This week it's obviously the battle for the minor premiership and also the battle for the wooden spoon. And the first match of the round is on Thursday night. It's between South Sydney and St George. This one's being played at Stadium Australia. St George in 12th on the table at the moment, South Sydney 15th. Now, if you count St George and St George Illawarra as the same club, like I do, there's been 203 matches played between these two clubs since 1921. South Sydney has won 91 times, St George 112 times, and there's been 2 draws. This game to me is a bit of an underrated rivalry as well. These teams go way back. There's been lots of grand finals and big finals matches played between the two sides, and also there's a bit of bitterness as well because in the late 90s St George wrote a letter to the NRL saying that if South Sydney were to stay in the competition it would be a detriment to the competition. Last week South Sydney ensured their survival from the wooden spoon with their customary win over Parramatta, and with the bye, they'll finish on 22 competition points regardless what happens in this game or the other games. With St George, they had a narrow loss against New Zealand over there in Auckland, which pretty much ended their hopes of playing finals in 2025. Who do I think is going to win this match though? The way that both of these two sides have been playing, I'm leaning more towards St George. The last couple of weeks, it's like they've turned the corner in some ways, and they were a bit unlucky against New Zealand over there in Auckland. With South Sydney, they still have a few players out as well, so I will go for St George to win this match by 1 to 12 points. First match on the Friday is between Penrith and Canberra. This one's being played at the Glen Willow Oval. Penrith are sat 5th in the table at the moment, Canberra top of the league at the moment. In recent times, Penrith have been a bogey side for Canberra. They've won 7 of the last 10 meetings against these two clubs in the league. With Canberra, they'll be fresh coming off the bye, and they know it's pretty simple for them. They just have to keep winning, and the minor premiership is theirs. It'll be the first minor premiership the club's won since 1993 without Googling. As for Penrith, well, I didn't watch the game, but I saw the highlights. There's been lots of talk about that Harry Grant thing with the penalty and all that, and I've watched it a couple of times, and it looks like Harry Grant deliberately ran at Moses Leota and knocked himself to the ground. To me, it were a fucking dive. It were a bit of a disgrace, but at the end of the day, these things happen in rugby league sometimes, and there's not what we can really do about it. So, Penrith, I'm pretty sure, will bounce back from that result, and this is going to be a high quality game on Friday. Who do I think is going to win this match though? Even though Penrith have been a fly in the ointment for Canberra in recent years, I'm going to tip Canberra to win this game. I'm going to go for them to win by 1 to 12 points. I also think with Penrith losing Isaiah Yeo, that's a massive loss, a huge loss for the club. So I'm going to go for Canberra to win this game by 1 to 12 points. And the main match on the Friday is between Melbourne and Canterbury Bankstown. This one's being played at Amy Park in Melbourne. Melbourne's 2nd on the table at the moment, Canterbury 3rd on the table. This could potentially be a week 1's finals match. With Melbourne, they come into this fixture having won their last 4 matches in a row in the league. And Canterbury, their record isn't great at Amy Park. They've only won there once since 2016. I just spoke about the game last week between Penrith and Melbourne, and looking at the highlights, it were a dive to me. It were a fucking dive by Harry Grant. But as I mentioned, those things happen in rugby league, and Melbourne managed to get away with it again to win that match. And with Canterbury Bankstown, they were exposed a bit against the Eastern Suburbs. A lot of people are bringing out the pretenders thing and saying that they can't win and blah blah blah. I think that's a bit of an overreaction, but definitely it's not what the doctor ordered for Canterbury Bankstown last week, and they're up against it this week against Melbourne in Melbourne, and they don't have a good record there. So I think Canterbury Bankstown will be much improved, but I'm just going to go for Melbourne to win this game. I'm going to go for them to win by 1 to 12 points. And the first match on the Saturday is between Manly Warringah and Redcliffe. This one's being played at Brookvale Oval. Manly Warringah in 10th at the moment, Redcliffe 9th. Looking at the league table, Manly are pretty much out of the finals race for 2025 from what I can see, and I don't see Seabold being there next year as head coach. I think the club needs a bit of an overhaul in certain areas. With Redcliffe, hopefully for them it's not third year in a row. They've 2 first years in the competition. They've been in finals contention and they've fallen away badly at the end of the year. I thought that they were going to make the top 8, and the last couple of weeks have been a bit of a disaster, losing heavily against Eastern Suburbs, losing against Brisbane in the Brisbane derby. They've got to turn it around. There's still an outside chance of making the finals. They're still in there with a hope. They've got to win this game against Manly Warringah. And there's been lots of talk about Manly in the media that there's lots of player unrest, and now they're saying Cherry Evans hasn't signed with Eastern Suburbs and he's retiring. I mean, honestly, who gives a fuck? I think if Cherry Evans was staying on, that some of these problems that Manly have would still be there, regardless whether he was staying or going. But for this game, Manly are playing for pride and Redcliffe are playing for a top 8 spot. So if Redcliffe are being serious about playing finals this year, they have to win this game. So I'm going to go for Redcliffe to win this match by 1 of 12 points. The second match on Super Saturday, and this is a huge one. It's the Gold Coast against New Zealand at Seabold Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. Gold Coast, bottom of the table at the moment, and New Zealand are back in the 4th place on the table. Now, when it comes to the Gold Coast and their record against New Zealand, they're New Zealand's bogey side, I consider it to be. Besides Melbourne, they've won 6 of their last 7 matches against New Zealand, and of course, the last time they played at Seabold, Gold Coast recorded their biggest ever win ever against any team, and that goes for all the incarnations of the Gold Coast since 1988. They put 60 points on them. Now, despite being fucking shite and being bottom of the table and conceding 24 points in 13 games or more this year, the Gold Coast are still 2 points off Newcastle, who are in second last place, and their for and against is almost identical, which kind of makes no sense, but there we are. So the Gold Coast know if they can upset New Zealand and Newcastle lose again over the weekend, they're off the bottom of the table. So that is a huge incentive for the Gold Coast, because realistically, I believe they have to win their 3 remaining matches to avoid the wooden spoon. That's just my own personal opinion, but it starts now. It's now or never for the Gold Coast. If they're going to win a game, this is it. This Saturday. So they know that if they lose this game and Newcastle somehow manage to pick up a win either this week or next week, they're fucked. But the Gold Coast know the equation's simple. They have to win this game. So that's why I'm going out on a limb. I'm going to tip the Gold Coast to win this game by 1 of 12 points. I'm taking a bit of a risk, but the signs are there that they can win. The New Zealand's bogey side, so why not? And the third match on Super Saturday is between Parramatta and Sydney Roosters. This one's being played at Western Sydney Stadium. Eastern Suburbs in 8th place at the moment, Parramatta 14th on the table. These two sides have played 141 times prior to this game. Parramatta's got 64 wins, Sydney Roosters have got 72 wins, and there's been 5 draws. Now, last week and during this week, I've described South Sydney as Parramatta's ultimate final boss, the bogey side. Well, Eastern Suburbs are the sub-boss, because they've won 8 of the last 10 matches against Parramatta, and some of the results, I'll read them out to you, where they've recorded in the last 10 fixtures against Parramatta. These are all wins, by the way. 48-10, 44-10, 32-18, 28-0, 34-12, 38-14. So they love playing against Parramatta and they love scoring points against them. Last week, Parramatta had the golden opportunity to officially avoid the wooden spoon in 2025. However, they lost narrowly to their ultimate bogey side, the Ibiza final boss, South Sydney. And I said South Sydney would win, all along. Nobody really believed me. I even had a couple of people saying, you're a fucking hater and you're always putting shit on Parramatta. And I'm thinking, how's that fucking hating on the team are putting shit on them. I'm stating fucking facts here. They're the fucking bogey side. And they did it again. And I'm just saying, well, I told you so. How's that fucking hating? Honestly, I don't understand it. And as for Sydney Roosters, they had a shock win over Canterbury. A lot of people tipped Canterbury to win, and once again, Sydney Roosters proved to be a bit of a thorn in the side for Canterbury, and they recorded a very impressive win. And the last couple of weeks, East have looked very good, and they're timing their run well into the finals. And they've shocked a lot of people this year, because a lot of people said that they might miss the top 8, they might struggle this year, but they're proving a lot of people wrong. So who do I think is going to win this match? I think this game could go either two ways. Either Parramatta once again come out and it's a very tight affair and they lose by, say, 1 to 6 points or 1 to 12 points, or this could be a bit of a blowout because there's some of the attacking players for the Eastern Suburbs side which I think could give Parramatta some headaches. And I really think that Sydney Roosters will win this game. I don't know whether it's going to be 1 to 12 points or 13 plus, but I'm just going to tip East to win this one. And the first match on the Sunday is between Newcastle and Brisbane at the Newcastle International Sports Centre. Newcastle 16th on the table at the moment and Brisbane 6th on the table. This game could have huge implications as to who finishes with the wooden spoon in 2025. With Brisbane, they had a win last week against Redcliffe in the Brisbane Derby. And for Newcastle, well, things are looking very, very bleak for them. Things are looking not great at all. They've lost their last 6 matches in a row in the league. Once again, in their last match, they were held scoreless at half-time. It was a huge game against North Queensland, and, well, I mean, what do you say? They were just fucking disappointing. And they bombed a few tries and just nothing went right, and now they find themselves in real danger of getting the wooden spoon. They're only 2 points clear of the Gold Coast and their for and against is almost identical, and if the Gold Coast managed to cause an upset against New Zealand, then Newcastle head into that game on Sunday last on the table. And to be honest with you, the Gold Coast in the last month or so have shown more than Newcastle. And I was looking at some of the results where Newcastle have won matches this year, and they beat basically a C South Sydney team and a C Penrith side as well. I think regardless of what happens this year, whether Newcastle do come last or they avoid the wooden spoon, Adam O'Brien will not be there in 2026. He'll be relieved of his coaching duties, aka terminated. I know I'm talking a lot about Newcastle, not so much about Brisbane, but this is huge for Newcastle. I mean, this is their last home game of the year as well, and for them, they know they just need a win. They fucking really need a win, because I can see the Gold Coast potentially winning one of their last 3 remaining games, and the for and against is almost identical. So Newcastle really need a win, but the way that they've been playing, I just don't see it. I really don't see it. So I'm going to go for Brisbane to win this game. I think Brisbane's going to win this 113 plus. And the final match to close out the round is between West Tigers and North Queensland. This one's being played at Leichhardt Oval. West 11th on the table, North Queensland 13th on the table. With West Tigers, they can maybe realistically still make the finals, but they need to win all 3 remaining matches left in the competition and hope that a lot of results go their way. And also, can this be the first time since 2018 that West Tigers can win 3 matches in a row in the league? Can you believe that? They have not won 3 matches in a row in the league since 2018, but this is a golden opportunity for them. With North Queensland, they love playing against West Tigers. In the last 4 matches that they've won against them, they've scored a combined total of nearly 200 points. And that includes that 74-0 drubbing that they gave to them a couple of years ago. So with North Queensland, they can't play finals, but they virtually assured that they won't come last in 2025 after they beat North Queensland. West Tigers, they're still going to believe that, look, we can play finals this year. we can just win our remaining 3 games and everyone else can fall over like Stephen Bradbury, that type of scenario, but I don't see it happening. But they've turned the corner a little bit in the last couple of weeks, West. So for this game, I'm going to tip West to win this one. I'm going to tip them to win by 112 points. I think that they've just been playing better than North Queensland as of late, so I'm going to go for West to win. So that concludes my tipping video for round 25, the 2025 NRL season. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your tipping margins and who you're picking this week. And thanks to everyone that's recently joined the channel and subscribed and continues to watch the channel and support me. It's been much appreciated. Anyways, this has been Rugby League History, and catch us all later in the next one. Ta-ra for now.